Sim. Muy obrigado. So let's get this started. In 1791, there was an English philosopher named Jeremy Bentham. He designed a system architecture for prisons, and what this enabled was occupants that were allowed to house prisoners in a single invisible observer. This design was called the panopticon, and as you can see, it was a circular design where it housed individuals in the perimeter. This application had, this design had many applications, but the one focus that it actually had, the one that was interesting from Jeremy Bentham, was the ideological benefits that it had correctional facilities. And obviously the benefits included cost savings, but more importantly to the philosopher was that the idea that the inmates would be able to adjust their behavior without any external interferences. Now, for the supposed genius of this design, the inmates were not able to see the watchtower and would therefore not be able to tell exactly when they were being watched. This is one of the actual panopticons, which is in the southern coastal area of Cuba. It's the most famous one. That was built in the 1926 and 1928, and it's called the Presidio Modelo. Now it housed famous individuals like Fidel Castro and his brother Raul. And now some of you may ask me exactly how does this actually relate to privacy, or how does it relate to today's digital age? With the rapid advancement of technology in the past century, and with the digital infrastructure which is moving at an exponential rate, we're starting to be seeing automation, artificial intelligence, and the likes of smart cities across the world. The failed ideology of the panopticon is very significant in today's world, where back then was now a prison national monument. Now, we obviously have an issue referring to the privacy of the digital age. Through the ages and through our lifetime, we've seen society embroiled in and manipulated in various forms. And with this various levels of privacy and security, and the level of awareness that risks and the poses that other companies and organizations pose to remove privacy, this is starting to become an issue. When did you first discover privacy? If I were to ask you when you first discovered it, your first thought might be your email account or bank details. And some of you, most likely a little bit more average than a user, watching YouTube clips, might be a little bit more worried about your privacy. Now, through the centuries, you've had privacy stories shaping your life and your family since birth. Through bedtime stories, through secret diaries your friends may hold, and through history classes and debates, through ethics and arguments, and obviously through the systems that fail to protect your data. But now the difference today is that we have the technology and businesses that have the means to get information about you. The level of sophistication through these technologies are not safe anymore to pioneers. Have to think about that for a minute, and you'll start to realize that many people actually have access to your own data. Now, we've started to see a couple of examples in recent centuries and decades through espionage, theft, robbery, and extortion. But believe it or not, this is only the tip of the iceberg. As we race towards a new digital age, we're starting to see the shift in today's society. I want to ask you another question. When was the last time that you felt confident that your data was being adequately protected? Now, security and privacy is being neglected, and we're seeing this more and more often as we start to go over the timeline of humanity, and especially in the digital age. And there really is no incentive for governments or businesses to actually protect your data in the means that they should expect it to. We're starting to see obvious results from basic social, economic, and political tasks hindering from the leak of data leaks that we're seeing. Facebook, as some of you must be aware, the scandal with Cambridge Analytica was fined the maximum amount of $645,000. They then had a $13.2 billion revenue only in the second quarter of 2018. What that means is, several minutes later, they were able to continue as business as usual. So this tells us two things. Number one, not only is it profitable, but it's also a viable business model. I would say that you can't put price on privacy. One of the things that we need to consider is, where's the circle of blame? Do we blame the black hats? Do we put responsibility on company leaders? We've seen British Airways, Adidas, Twitter, Ticketmaster, all household names suffer from some sort of data breach in 2018. And every month we're starting to see more and more continue. Now, since taking on the FBI in a publicized privacy row in 2016, Tim Cook said this to the 40th International Conference of Data Protection and Privacy Commissioners. Data is being weaponized with military efficiency. Just think about that for a second. Those are two very important words specifically chosen. Weaponized and military. So you may be thinking, well, how does my data get weaponized? Or in what way could possibly weaponize the data? But they have not created just by having access to something as simple as an email account or your bank details is something facing a global privacy epidemic on an unprecedented scale. We're starting to see employers share what to the banks, what they need to know, and the banks starting to share everything to advertisers, what they need to know. By the time it actually lands up in front of you, or you realize what's happening, your digital and physical life is already mapped out, without even you knowing. Now, if we don't act soon, we're going to risk walking into a minefield of issues. One in which allegations of election tampering is just the tip of the iceberg. Political leaders tells us that it's impossible to create privacy legislation quickly enough to keep up with the pace of technological innovation. Business leaders also claim that privacy is simply too complex in order to solve. It's not just politicians or us CEOs that are interested in our personal information either. We're starting to see criminals who want our data for their own personal advantage. So far, we've done little to protect ourselves. Some might as far to go and say that we've tempered our expectations. I want to ask you these two things, and maybe these two things are very familiar with you in this decade. I have nothing to hide, or I gave up worrying or caring a long time ago. These are phrases that we're starting to see more and more so in the technological innovations and digital age moving us forward. Now, perhaps more worryingly, not only have we stopped caring, but we've stopped asking questions. Questions about how should my privacy, how should my data be secure, and also about the motives of those who made fortunes monetizing our data. But how many of you stopped to consider that data can actually be monetized? It sounds counterintuitive in the era of big data. Some of you may question, how can we plan and how can we succeed in today's world without data? But we've seen seen in today's digital age, businesses successfully generating revenue by not capturing the data, but by also ensuring that the data is kept secure and private. According to a research that IBM implemented in 2018, of those 10,000 people surveyed, and these individuals were from the US, China, India, United Arab Emirates, and Brazil, they would not buy a product from a company no matter how great the products are if they don't trust the company to protect their data. Now this could be argued, but what if a company created a product that was great, but also securely and privately held your data? Consumers most likely will buy from you more. We're seeing an ever-increasing exponential growth rate just in the last month, 2 months, and 3 months of users actually closing down their Facebook accounts because of the data leaks. Now, 20% of people actually completely trust organizations they interact with to maintain their privacy of their data. 85% say businesses should be doing a lot more there to protect their information. 73% think businesses are focused on profits over addressing consumer security needs. And then we have 60% are more concerned about security threats than they are about potential law breaking out. So there definitely needs to be some sort of shift in the way we're progressing in the digital age. Now, Tangram is thinking about the future in which privacy, by default, it just should work. And the world should just work in the way that privacy is default. The problems of cost and scaling impose limits on scaling privacy itself to a global scale. Privacy should be free, it should be embedded in everything we do, and it needs to be scalable and available for every kind of app. And it should be impossible to block, i.e. censorship resistant. Now at Tangram, we're working to create a network and a protocol and software that will provide people with the tools they need to be able to take greater control over their security and privacy. Our aim is to inspire and mobilize and empower a free, instant and secure digital payment system. We're utilizing open source cryptography, unused, untapped, old and new technology with compelling user experiences to create the world's, this is the most ambitious part, most private distributed ledger for a new generation of free, instant and secure digital payments and services. What we want to do is we want to achieve to restore some sort of confidence in the privacy of systems that are designed to keep personal data and sensitive data safe and secure. We also want to target a shift in the perception of secrecy, where from the idea that serves governments and businesses and organizations, but also to individuals that they should be entitled to. We know this is an ambition goal, but it's an experience, and experience is showing us it's necessary for an open society. Now, I'd like to welcome Matthew Hillier, who is the lead developer and co-founder of Tangram, and he's going to take you through how Tangram works.
It's one piece of paper and we like to think about what we do, it's privacy by design. From what we know, we will be the first to implement such technology. So I'm going to explain to you how does Tangram work. So our system basically revolves around hash functions. So you could probably call it a hash-based payment system. So what is a hash function is basically comprises of 2 bits. One is called a pre-image, is plain text, and that gets piped through a one-way hash function, which then results into what we call an image, is referred to hash values. So everything from here on in is based on hashes. So what we have is a wallet. Your wallet is a client side. We have built into the wallet, we're using HashiCorp, which is a secret management system. It is enterprise grade, and we are using it in a very unorthodox way. So the wallet will then obviously speak to the HashiCorp vault using an encrypted message endpoint to point-to-point. What we do store in the wallet is references to the tokens that get generated offline, so they're not actually tokens. What will happen in the beginning is that we'll create a master key, and it will also be issued with shards. And the shards are basically Shamia's secret sharing. So from that basically means that you can split your secrets, and you wouldn't be able to use the secrets because you can hand them out to various people, and it takes a whole lot of people to come, or the various shards to come together to then reveal the secret. So what we have is a token generation and offline transactions. So what that means is nothing gets sent to the node. Everything gets generated offline. And we have what's called a token structure. And of that token structure, there's 7 attributes that comprise what the token's behavior is, its characteristics. From the generation of that token, we use what's called a master key, and the master key goes through a cryptographic algorithm using log-on-2. From that, it basically what we call a master key derived function, or a derived function key generation, which then generates subkeys. And through the subkeys, we will then obviously create a token, and you can think of it like a 3-step authentication factor. So if you need to claim ownership of the token, you would have to have the master key to get to the token, the derived token from the master key. So in that regard, we're saying that if the wallet is hacked or gets compromised, there's no way that they can actually steal your money, because the token actually just stores references to the DAG. For them to actually steal any money from your wallet, they'll have to get to the master key, or that's basically the master key. So sorry, I've been skipping ahead, I'm just going. Referencing tokens will obviously be stored within the vault. So if you lost your wallet, or your computer got compromised, or your data got corrupted, you can always retrieve your tokens as long as you've got the master key. So you'll never lose any tokens. The tokens are yours, you retain ownership. No one can take them away unless you transfer the ownership of the token to the recipient. Okay, so how the token verified challenges and the consensus work is that from the derived functions, when we generate a token, you will be given challenges to actually prove that you own a token. There are, like I said, a number of attributes from the token itself that are derived functions from the log-on-2 function, which is the master key. And from that, the sender will generate what's called the redemption key. Now the redemption key forms 3 parts of payments. So the payment never gets written to the ledger, only when the recipient receives the redemption key, and then he uses the redemption key then to encode a new token from the redemption key, and if everything matches up, then the transfer has been, or the ownership has been transferred. So masterpiece store. I don't know what they said. Anyway, carry on. So from the redemption key, the recipient will then decode the message, and then broadcasting transactions will then go into the ledger. This obviously creates anonymity and privacy a great deal, because it's dealing with hashes. So there's no linkability, traceability from the ledger. So this is just a very simplified Merkle DAG. Okay? So the Merkle DAG comprises of, say, 3 blocks. So you have block number 1 has a transaction which has a token. And this block over here has the Merkle root of the token, and the transaction has the references back to the block. Okay? So we're going to have multiple chains within the ledger, not just one. So if we have 183 million tokens, which is the total supply, we're going to cut 183 million tokens into 64 bits, or let's say 64 chains. And the idea is that you live between the tree and the leaves inside the bag, spread out through all the chain. So, which then obviously mitigates the linkability, the traceability of the token. Obviously, like I said, this is a simplified version. We will have a white paper ready to read by the 2nd of December. And then I think that's how Jensen would like to just tie things over. If you've got any questions, I know I've been jumping around, but I'll be in the back, and you can answer me anything you want. I'll explain it to you better. Thank you very much for having us. It's been great.
Yeah, so just to tie things up, obviously Tangram is, needs to manage the expectations of a wide range of audiences that we're not even targeting. We've identified at least 11 that range from the core and the expectations that each and every one of these. So if you see yourself in any of these, you can have a read at them. So we have the core, we have the government expectations, regulations, exchanges, developers, contributors, financial institutions, business partners, and community. Now these are the things that we're trying to do is obviously an ambitious goal, and it's going to be a very long road ahead. But we need to enable the privacy, or at least start educating individuals on the importance of this. Yeah. So one last thing, I just want to say that the community managers of Tangram have a meetup tomorrow. It's at a there. It's very close from the hotel, Praia Centro, apparently tomorrow is Saturday at 8 p.m. Before we conclude this, I'd just like to thank everybody who was involved, Gustavo Pizzi, Pedro Montero, Pedro La, Camila, Joao, and everybody in the community that's watching right now. Thank you.